This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. Emails obtained by CBC News suggest Winnipeg mayoral candidate Glenn Murray tried to find out who made anonymous complaints about him when he ran the Pembina Institute. This appears to contradict Murray's claim he was never aware of complaints about him at the environmental organization. CBC's Bartley Kivas has the story.
Glenn Murray spent a year running the Pembina Institute. He left following a review about his management. Earlier this month, Murray said he wasn't aware of any complaints about him at Pembina.
There is a respectful workplace policy, which I have respected, that allows people to make anonymous complaints at any time that don't go to the exec director, that go to the board. Not one single complaint was ever filed with me in what is a well-used system. Not just about any kind of harassment, none at all.
Emails obtained by CBC News suggest a different story. Those emails suggest Murray not only knew about 2 anonymous bullying complaints about him, he tried to find out who made them. In November 2017, a Pembina finance official sent an email to Pembina's board chair. That official claimed Murray tried to learn the identity of 2 anonymous complainants who went to the board behind Murray's back and talked against him to the board about bullying. Emails obtained by CBC News show Pembina's ombuds officer logged one of the complaints and that a letter about bullying from the complainant was sent to 8 board members. CBC News reached out to Murray's campaign for comment. The campaign did not address these emails, but said Murray was never made aware of any complaints about him at Pembina. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, on the campaign trail today, Glenn Murray made a surprise tax announcement at a Chamber of Commerce forum. Murray says he would take the business tax from nearly 5% to just under 6%. He would also blend it with the commercial property tax, raising an extra $12 million. That comes after he promised a 1-year property tax freeze for homeowners. Kevin Klein says he wants to make it more difficult for criminal youth gangs to recruit new members. Klein says if he is elected mayor next week, he'll devote $1.75 million a year to safe spaces in vulnerable neighborhoods. Those spaces would offer sports and arts programming. Robert Falcon-Willette says he wants to improve trust in City Hall. He says if he is elected, he would require all members of council and their immediate families to disclose their assets and real estate holdings everywhere, including outside the country. And Chris Classio wants to sit on the Winnipeg Police Board and says he would appoint a woman on council to the board. He also wants the next police chief to be a woman. A record number of eligible voters in Winnipeg showed up to cast their ballots in advance. The city says nearly 42,000 people used the advance polls, which were open until the end of today. That is an increase of more than 5% over the 2018 municipal election. And don't forget to tune into CBC Manitoba on Election Day on Wednesday. We will have special election night coverage right here starting at 8 p.m. You can also watch on CBC Gem or on our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba. This was the scene in St. Boniface tonight. One person is in hospital after a hit and run at Marion and Archibald. Police say a pedestrian was hit by a vehicle that fled the scene. The pedestrian was taken to hospital with serious injuries. The intersection remains closed. A team of engineers is in Manitoba to test equipment that could be a game changer for small remote communities. They're putting a turbine into the Winnipeg River to generate power. CBC's Emily Brass takes us there.
There's something new on the Pinawa waterfront. The RivGen power system uses the force of the river to produce energy.
It's a hydrokinetic turbine, so it's like a windmill underwater. So the idea is the whole system floats out to a river, and then we sink it down to the bottom, and the flowing water spins the turbine and creates electricity.
As the turbine turns, it'll send electricity back to shore to be stored in batteries. Engineers say the device could produce enough to power a small village. The RivGen is already being used in Alaska, but this is the first trial in Canada. The company hopes to put more turbines in Indigenous communities now relying on fossil fuels, including some in northern Manitoba.
Right now, the RivGen is parked down there by the bridge as engineers make the final touches. Then next week, they're going to tow it up this river where it'll stay at the CHTTC for 6 months to a year to be tested.
The Canadian Hydrokinetic Turbine Test Centre is run by the University of Manitoba. It also has high hopes for the RivGen.
Most turbines that we see around the world will not survive winter. We've sank them here in winter. They'll ice. Won't have problems in winter. It's at the bottom.
He says the current remains strong year-round here, downstream from the Seven Sisters Dam, making it the perfect place to experiment. Emily Brass, CBC News, Pinawa.
The Manitoba government is willing to double its funding for a major expansion of Centreport Canada in northwest Winnipeg to prevent it from being held up by a lack of federal cash. Premier Heather Stephenson is pledging up to $40 million for the development of Centreport South, which is located within the city of Winnipeg limits. She says the province has been pushing the federal government for money to fund the second phase of Centreport. Stephenson says the hub is key to growing Manitoba's economy. An estimated $60 million is needed to get water and sewer infrastructure into the expansion. The city of Winnipeg has already promised $20 million toward the project. Well, 800 meters may not sound like a great distance, but it took a decade of discussion and years of planning to have a historic monument move that distance to a more accurate location. This cross was first unveiled in 1906 by the Union Nationale Métis in Saint-Joseph. It commemorates the day in November of 1869 that Louis Riel and a group of Métis put a barrier across Pembina Trail to keep Canadian government surveyors out of St. Norbert. Since the 1980s, that monument has been part of La Place St. Norbert next to the St. Norbert Farmers Market. But the Union Nationale argued the monument should have its own spot, roughly where Riel's barrier would have stood. And today that spot was unveiled further south down Pembina Highway. The hope is that it will be an attraction for those interested in Métis history. Here is a look outside tonight. Not a bad evening for that, bad day for that ceremony. It was a bit wet this evening, though. Parts of the province are expecting some snow as we head into the weekend. We have a special weather statement in place. I will show you where and have more on that after the break.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 22 model clear-out is on now.
Welcome back. Well, we are in store for a messy weekend this weekend across the province. We have a special weather statement in place here for most of the southwestern corner of the province up into northern Manitoba, areas like Thompson, even over to Shamattawa in this special weather statement. This because of a Colorado low we have moving into the province later on in the weekend, starting Saturday here under a mainly cloudy sky, on and off showers really across southern Manitoba. But then we see this area of instability, this low, moving into Manitoba come Sunday morning. This will bring snow and rain to western parts of the province. Come Monday, mainly a rain event for the Red River Valley, but we can't rule out some stray flurries here and there. Okay, looking at our temperatures as we get into the overnight tonight, expect temperatures down around 3-4 degrees across the Red River Valley, a little bit cooler into the western part of the province. Then into the Winnipeg region tomorrow, we're expecting highs around that 11-12 mark through the later part of the afternoon tomorrow. Windy one this weekend as well, winds gust up to 50-60 kilometers an hour as we get through Saturday and Sunday. Into Monday, expect some more wet flurries, possibly in single digits toward the end of next week. And that is your late news for this Friday. Thank you for being with us tonight. We will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.